If you drink alcohol, do this to give your liver a chance. Liver disease kills approximately 90,000 people each year in the United States. Don't be one of them. An article by Christopher Boswell, read by James Bacon. You will find, Brumm, said Earl Lavender, that one of two things must be sacrificed by every man who lives to be over 60. The mind or the liver. John Davidson. The trauma of life. Just a few years ago, life educated me on liver function through a painful experience, the loss of my only sibling, a beautiful, bright, and whimsical girl who had helped me through 53 years of life, gave me an opportunity to watch her die. The call came from my mother informing me that Carrie had been admitted to the hospital. Sadly, none of us seemed to get it at the time, how sick she was, even though everyone now seemed to notice that they had thought she seemed discolored, her skin losing its rose glow even 6 months earlier. It was serious. They were keeping her. Weeks went by with me calling from 2,300 miles away, asking for reports and talking to her on the phone. Soon she was available to be on the phone less and less. My mom finally said, if you want to see her again, you better come now. They had flown her to a hospital in Madison, Wisconsin, rumored to be skilled at helping with livers. The doctors there made it a practice to help even those that could be alcohol related, or so they told my mother. So I flew there too. My wish is to have gone sooner, but I'm glad I made the time when I did. She had told one of the doctors that she drank beer and wine once in a while. That was at the first hospital in Kansas City. Their policy was not to put people on the transplant waiting list who may have brought the disease on through poor choices. She told me that she regretted being open with him, but didn't understand what was coming. None of us did. Madison was supposed to be different, but in the end, they refused to help her find the transplant, despite several pleas by myself and other family members. I find this situation ridiculous. Imagine EMT personnel asking an injured person discovered at a car crash or while responding to a 911 call if they had ever consumed alcohol or texted while driving, then refusing to treat them if the answer was yes. That's unfathomable and just not done. I don't see a difference. She did get me thinking of my own liver. It seemed I drank more than she did. But of course, pesky, imperfect human that I am, I drank while I was there, and she was in that bed, withering away. Can you believe it? I took a last picture of my sweet sister while we celebrated her 51st birthday, but then the very next day she was gone. My body is like a temple in Nepal. It is sacred, but has a lot of damage from the earthquake of my youth. James Halvenstein, The Aftermath. It took me 3 days to go, as I had promised. I wouldn't leave without her. There was paperwork to do and some waiting period. I sat with her as she lay lifeless for several hours until they told me the room was needed. 30 or so miles out of town, I stumbled into a rural countryside bar west of Madison. It was a gem of a place out in the farmland all by itself. I stopped in for something to eat and, of course, a drink. Having made contact with a bright and attentive woman, one part of the husband and wife team that ran the place, a man then strolled in. I had a camera up on the bar and was reviewing some of the pictures I had taken that morning. Our eyes locked onto each other's. He was smiling and approached right away. He says, "Do you want to do a story on my place?" About that time, I noticed he was missing one forearm and hand at the elbow. He didn't seem to care. Little did I know then I would not be leaving that night. We simply hit it off, talking and drinking Then, laughing and drinking some more, I told them about Carrie. It was as if an unseen force had put them in my path to watch over me for the night. It was exactly what I needed, this couple. Then he shared the story of his arm, a drunken night on the 4th of July, and an unexploded cartridge from an M80. He approached and grabbed it as it finally went off, obliterating his forearm. I remember thinking, why do we do it? As I took another drink. We both got hammered to his wife's dismay, and when closing time came, he asked me if I would like to stay the night. I accepted. Not to would have been foolish and misguided. I do make the right decision every once in a while. He showed me to an upstairs room in a building off to the side. I had it all to myself. No matter what evil might come one's way, to be loved is to be protected. Kate Morton. The calm in the storm of emotions. Now I'll tell you the name of the place, the Shelter Bar and Grill in Leland, Wisconsin. It lives up to the name, at least it did on that night. Shelter. Upon awakening, I descended back to the bar and was offered an amazing breakfast. Locals coming and going. When asking for the check, I was informed that there wasn't one. They wouldn't think of taking a dime. Angels exist on earth. Christopher Boswell. I drove away feeling better than when I came and began listening to an audio book while I was driving. I had loaded it onto my phone through overdrive as I laid in bed before going down to eat. A medical doctor had written this book and claimed he had contracted liver disease and cancer. I figured if I was to continue to drink, or even if I wasn't, my liver needed support. So the research began with an article regarding the effect of high-dose vitamin C on the liver function in chronic hepatitis patients. Everyone is in need of a shelter from the storm. Be the shelter, be kind. Lufina Lerderges. The research continues. The author of this book I was listening to went on to speak of feeling like he was dying, going to doctor after doctor, trying to find out what was wrong. He was told his liver was failing and had become fatty with cancerous cells. Given 3 months to live, he decided to forego chemo and other mainstream treatments, then simply began to ingest 4,000 milligrams of vitamin C daily. He claimed that within 1 month, his symptoms and the disease completely disappeared. Another man, Linus Pauling, also believed high doses of vitamin C could cure many conditions, even heart disease and cancer. At the time of his claim, many called him a quack, dismissing it as unproven. But now, 10 years after his death, many, including Dr. Hillary Roberts, thinks he was right all along. It is the 10th anniversary of the death of Linus Pauling, and his most controversial scientific conjectures about the health benefits of vitamin C are being confirmed. The weight of evidence may yet force the medical establishment to accept his ideas on nutrition and health. Dr. Hillary Roberts. Health is the greatest gift, contentment the greatest wealth, faithfulness the best relationship. Buddha. Clarity. So just to be clear, I am not a doctor, but I will tell you that I've been taking 4,000 milligrams of vitamin C daily now since my sister passed. Is it working? Well, I'm not sure, but here is something I can tell you with certainty. I'm still alive, and all my blood work says my treasured liver is still working. Maybe my sister has shown me how to live better by her own ultimate sacrifice. Thanks, sis. May God bless you and keep you. Cheers, Christopher.